Manners maketh movies. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainely Movies. Today I'm going to be ranking the 3 Kingsman films as part of my franchise Rankography series. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. So, what is a Rankography exactly? Well, it's my ranking of a filmography, whether that be a director's output, an actor's appearances, or even an entire franchise. My rankographies are based on personal preference, and I rank movies according to how much I enjoyed them, rather than any specific technical merit or attribute. Remember, this is just my ranking, not the ranking, so be sure to post your own personal ranking of the Kingsman franchise in the comments below. We've had spy films for decades, and spy comedies for nearly as long. Humor has frequently seeped into espionage thrillers, and exciting action has made its way into spy comedies, but finding that perfect blend of action, espionage, and comedy has been a challenge. But with its comic book roots, the Kingsman franchise has been able to deliver James Bond-esque stories with flourishes of modern action comedy. And its story spans the decades, encompassing both a sequel and a prequel to flesh out the world of Kingsman. I've already reviewed all 3 of these movies on this channel, so if you want to check those out for some more in-depth thoughts on each of them, I'll put links in the description below, and also link them up in the cards as we go along. Alright, let's get this rankography started. Coming in at number 3, The Kingsman. The decision to make a prequel rather than a third Eggsy film was definitely an odd one, but the prospect of an origin story for the Kingsman organization was an intriguing one. It was an idea with a lot of potential. Not only could it provide us with some background and insight into the creatively designed world of Kingsman, but transposing the violent, over-the-top action and comedy of the series into World War I era could have been endlessly entertaining. Unfortunately, this movie doesn't really give us either of those things. It touches upon the Kingsman organization in a surprisingly minimal way, with only a few scenes providing some semblance of the advertised origin story. And the boisterously fun and campy tone we've come to expect from the franchise is instead replaced by an unexpectedly self-serious war drama. Expectations are a tough thing when it comes to film, but this is a movie that suffers because of those expectations set forth by its marketing and the rest of the franchise. Although unquestionably situated within the Kingsman universe, it doesn't really feel like a Kingsman movie. Now, that's certainly not to say that it's a bad film. It's an enjoyable and reasonably entertaining piece of historical fiction. And if it were its own thing, then it could just be viewed as such. But as an entry in this franchise, it's underwhelming. It takes the story in a new direction and tries out a lot of different things. But in the end, the risks it takes puts it at the bottom of the franchise pile for me. Coming in at number 2, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. So I have a feeling that this is probably actually going to be a common third place film, but I want to say that I do actually like this movie, maybe more so than most people do. The first film served as an excellent setup for a franchise, and definitely left me wanting a sequel. I wanted to see the next chapter of Eggsy's story as a Kingsman, and to see even more expansion on the excellent world building. And this movie really delivered on both fronts. We get to see Eggsy as a full-blown agent, see the introduction of the statesman, plus get a very compelling villain who was even more reminiscent of classic Bond villains than we had seen in the previous movie. But in spite of all the good, this film had that very distinct crafted for success feel to it, and didn't have quite the same spark of genuinity as the first. And of course, every movie strives to be successful, so it makes sense that they designed the script to include things that were a hit in the previous movie, but it felt like they were just adding and removing things without really understanding why they were doing it, and without bothering to maintain story and character consistency across the 2 movies. I mean, they're sorta able to work it all into the plot, I guess, but many of the big reveals feel too sudden and very forced. Along those same lines, the action also takes a bit of a hit. It's still exciting and fun to watch, but there are a few sequences where the excessive artificiality of it all is pretty distracting. So that means my number 1 Kingsman movie is Kingsman: The Secret Service. I realize it's not that uncommon for me to put the first film of a franchise in the number 1 slot, but there's a reason for that. The first movie's in charge of establishing the premise and the characters. It sets the tone and has to make you want sequels. And this first Kingsman movie excelled at all of those things. It established the idea of the Kingsman with some really great world building, and then introduces us to a slew of entertaining characters, most notably Eggsy and Harry. And it does all of this with a perfect blend of humor, brutal action, and espionage. Speaking of espionage, this movie does a fantastic job of channeling James Bond, while still being its own distinct thing. There are tons of nods to the 007 franchise, including some very direct references right in the dialogue. The gadgets, the gentlemanliness, even the score. It all serves as a tribute to classic Bond. Even the villain is very reminiscent of those movies. I don't like him as much as the sequel's villain, but he has that eccentric, pseudo-altruistic vibe that several more era Bond villains had, not to mention the fact that he's got a very memorable and deadly henchwoman. Alright, so that's my rankography of the Kingsman films. 3 movies, 2 time periods, and a whole lot of tailored suits. What does your ranking look like? I'd love to see some reasoning for your order, so be sure to post it in the comments below. Remember, I've already reviewed all 3 of these movies, so you could check out those videos if you want some more in-depth discussion of each, as well as my ratings, pros and cons, and even tailored film recommendations. And if you're interested in buying any of these movies, I do have affiliate links to all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insider information out of this rankography, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe or at it to see more videos like this, as well as movie reviews. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.